Welcome to another unboxing, and as you can see we have ourselves a brand new truck. This is the CEN Racing F-450 and I'm actually pretty excited about this truck. Now I know that my channel doesn't usually go for these types of vehicles, but I actually have a bit of an idea of what I'm going to do with this truck. It's going to be a little bit of a show pony, but I'm definitely going to use it, and I hope that you guys stick around for some future releases of this, of what I'm going to do, and yeah, I think it'll be really exciting. But before we get too carried away, let's look at what you actually get in the box with one of these. Now of course you get the truck, the radio, and a bag of goodies. Now I will say that this is a pre-release sample, so there's probably going to be a couple of differences. One of them being that there may actually be a manual with your truck. I didn't get a manual. All I got was a leaflet kind of explaining how to change the gear ratio so that you actually put the truck into high gear. So if you guys remember those other CEN trucks, the solid axle monster trucks, the BL50 I think it was, or something, or the HL50, and I had to swap over the gears on that to have a high speed gear. This uses the exact same principle. So you just swap one of the gears around in the transmission, that gives you a high speed, which is a really cool thing because you don't have to get any extra pinions or anything like that. Also in the little bag you get some stickers, some CEN stickers. They actually look pretty good. I like those. Some American Force stickers as well. So you got some of those that you can deck out the truck with. This is just a little piece of paper just kind of giving you the serial number of your chassis. So keep that somewhere safe. And I'll get rid of that bag. And then we have a little tool bag. So there's like a little cross spanner thing, some Allen keys. And then there's an instruction manual for your ESC. So you can, I don't know, mess around with the settings, calibrate it, that type of thing. So that's pretty much it. Now with the, I'll flip this guy around. How gorgeous does this look in the blue, by the way? I really like it. The radio may actually look quite familiar to you because this is the same mold. I mean, it's not the same radio, but it is the same mold or same type of radio that they use on the Team Magic cars. So it feels very much the same. The trigger actually feels a little different, but it's got a lot of the same functions. The only one that this one doesn't have is the center button here that allows you to turn these into endpoint adjustments. So you do have a dual rate button up the top here, so that's still there. You have your on and off switch up here, and then you've got your reverse switches up the top here. And of course that just runs on 4 AA's, but it's just missing one of the buttons. So a slightly different model from what Team Magic uses, but essentially the same style of radio. So I like those radios. They actually work quite well. I'm pretty sure this one's going to do the job just fine as well. Alrighty, moving on to the truck. Now this, as you can see, is actually quite a big truck. This is not your standard 10 scales, crawler type trail truck. There's the rear of it there, and of course you can see the dual tires on the back. That's what it looks like underneath. So this one's a little bit different, and I've actually measured this up against some of my other cars, and I may even give you guys some photos for you to see. But wheel nut to wheel nut, this is actually longer than your Infraction and Limitless. So this is an extraordinary long wheelbase, but it's done like that because it is in fact true to scale. That's what CEN tells me, that it is true to scale. These trucks in real life are actually quite long, and they had to do it this way to be able to make it true to scale. And there are a lot of scale details on this truck, and you really need to sort of have a better look at it to really appreciate how much effort and work has gone into one of these, into releasing something like this. Now, starting from, basically just the body. The body is actually a two-piece body. It joins in the middle here. So technically, you could probably modify this and have an open tray, put maybe a cage here, you could fabricate something for it. Whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, this is one of those types of vehicles that it's not really meant to be a specific type of vehicle. It's kind of open to interpretation. When I started looking at this, I'm like, well, you can't really crawl with this truck because it's obviously oversized. It doesn't have that much articulation, so it's not going to be really useful in that sort of environment, even if you change out wheels and tires. So what is this truck? What's its purpose? Well, it's a scale truck. It's a replica of an actual truck, and it's also designed, and I'll show you some of the things once we take the body off. it's designed in a way that it allows you to really modify it to your liking. So it can be a lot of things. At the moment, it's just this. But I think, you know, once it goes into the hands of a lot of guys out there that have experience in this field and have some really good, clever, creative minds, I can see this really being, you know, modified to be all sorts of types of vehicles. So I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for this type of product. It's a little bit outside of the box, which is something that I like. And I applaud CEN for taking this step and doing something like this, which is really cool. So you've got as I said, you've got a two-part body. You've got these scaled mirrors on here, which actually look fantastic as well. You've got your wipers, which are, you know, they're just plastic. They're bolted down, but again, you could probably modify these to actually be working if you want them to. Now, the only thing, if there's going to be any sort of criticism here, is that there isn't some kind of plastic grille on the front. I think that would have been the cherry on top if they had this plastic grille, but it's just stickers. But that being said, they did include a foam bumper behind the body, which is actually really cool. And the other thing that they did, which is incredibly cool, is the detail on these tires. Now, to the naked eye, you know, the average person, they're not going to care. They're just going to look at the tires and go, well, these are probably not going to grip very well. But these are actually scale replica tires, and there's actually a lot of detail that's gone into these. So I hope that there are some people out there that will actually appreciate that. The wheels look actually pretty good. I mean, some people will like them, some people will hate them. And of course, they come in that other color as well, the pinkish color with the silver car. Now this cap here has these little screws. You have to remove all of these screws to remove the cap to access the nut that's behind it. So again, when it comes to scale details like this, you do sacrifice something to get something else. In order to have that scale realism of all the little bolts on there, there has to be a way to put them on. So that's why that is done like that. On the plus side, you're very unlikely to lose a wheel nut. Think of it that way. So there is that plus. As we move across to the back of the truck, again, just all stick it up back here, and that's pretty much it. There is no like actual physical bumper behind the body here. You got your two body posts at the back. And speaking of which, we'll take these body pins off really quickly, and I will take the body off and kind of give you a bit of a glimpse of what this guy looks like once it's out of the truck. So that's the body there, and you can see where it's joined. There's actually two bolts here holding everything in place. So pretty cool. The body's actually pretty thick too, by the way, so I don't think this is a flimsy body. I think they've actually done a pretty good job on the body itself. And then of course, once you take that off, it kind of looks like a skeleton. So there's really not a lot to it, but there's actually a lot of really cool features about this truck that I think some of you out there may actually appreciate. First and foremost, you've got the front foam bumper, body posts adjustable front and rear, which is a really big plus. You've got the chassis mounted servo, which I believe is a Savox, which is why they use Savox on the front of the box. Now, it does have a plastic servo horn with the built-in servo saver, but of course, you can always upgrade that to your liking. You got sway bars front and rear installed already. As we move across to the links, for example, all the links, in case you haven't noticed, these are all aluminium links or steel links. So they're all, none of this is plastic, which is really good to see. And we'll talk about the underside in a minute as well. But moving along to the shocks, they're calling these big bore shocks for a 10th scale. They probably are. And then these shock supports here on all four corners, these are a stamped aluminium, which is really cool. I mean, a lot of the times I've actually seen some of these scale trucks have these in plastic or have a variation of it that's incorporated with the body posts and the shock towers. These are actually aluminium. Really cool to see. And of course, multiple adjustment points as well for you to position your shocks, which is fantastic. The standard steel frame that they use on this is actually a 3-piece frame. So as we're moving across here, you can see that there is a step here, and then there is another step just here as well. If my camera would focus on this, it would actually work really well. You can probably see that there now. So this means that you're kind of able to adjust the overall wheelbase of this truck. So you can shrink it and perhaps even expand it a little bit. I don't know why you would expand it, but you can definitely move it around. You know, maybe remove the center drive shaft, because this is a two-piece drive shaft. Remove that and you could make this a shorter truck again. Get a different body for it. There's a variety of different modifications that you can do with this. ESC is at the front here, of course. You have your sealed receiver box over here, and then that flows through to the transmission, which is then mounted, or well, rather allows the mounting of a RS-550 size brushed motor. Now, the battery compartment, you can see that it's actually, you know, it's designed to sort of fit a standard 2S battery, but there are multiple mounting positions for this. You could move this further forward, further back. You could probably find another home for it somewhere else. But this is capable of running either on a 2S LiPo or a 3S LiPo, which is, again, really positive thing. And then, of course, you've got your solid axles front and rear, which look really, really cool. Now, there's also an aluminium support plate here, or skid plate, for the underside of the transmission case, or rather from the transmission. And then, of course, you've got steel drive shafts all the way through. It's ball bearings all the way around as well, of course. And I think that pretty much sums it up. It's a very simple design, but I think a very effective design overall. And of course, you know, there's multiple positions here for your links, and you can sort of play around with all of this and come up with different ways of setting up the suspension on this truck, which I think is one of the reasons why I'm actually excited about this one, because I want to turn it into something that's a little bit left of field. I have an idea for a different power system for it already, but of course I will be running the truck with the stock system. I am going to be gearing it up pretty much straight away, just because going, you know, super slow is really not my thing. I would prefer a little bit more speed. It's not going to be some extensive running video or durability test. That's not what this truck is for. It's just going to be a nice little running video, just to kind of show you what it can do, what it's designed for, and perhaps even what it's capable of. And then I'm going to start toying around with it a little bit more in the future. So that's my plan for it. We'll see what happens as things develop. And yeah, I'm actually really pumped for this. It's something a little bit different, as I've said, I think probably once too many times, and I'm excited for it. Just as change of pace, and to have an RC that really adds a bit of variety and a different flavor to what happens here on the channel. So I'm hoping that I covered pretty much everything on this one. Hopefully you guys got a chance to see, you know, all the specs and features that are on the box as well. And you can go back and pause the video and read up on it. Of course, check out the CEN Racing website. I'll have links in the video description for that for you guys to go and check out. And of course, links to my social media pages and so forth. That is it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time.